Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1402B, and today's date is October 16th, 2017, and the title of the episode is Pentagon Worried That a Cyber Attack Could Cause a Stock Market Crash. Let's get into the economic collapse, political, and geopolitical news. Now, out in North Korea, we know that the USS Ronald Reagan and many other ships are headed into that area. It looks like South Korea and the United States, well, they're having their daily provocation drill against North Korea, showing them that, listen, we are here. And this is supposed to, stop North Korea from developing their missile technology, developing their nuclear weapons. And again, this is not going to stop a country from doing this. Actually, this is going to make a country continue to do this because they can see that, maybe they are going to invade. Maybe there is going to be regime change. Maybe we should protect ourselves. And we see right now that over the weekend, the drill that is happening involves the U.S. 7th Fleet's aircraft carrier, USS Ronald Reagan, 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, the USS Stetham, and the USS Mustin. And the carrier strike group will train with the South Korean warships and other defense assets. But something very interesting, they brought in U.S. Special Forces. Now, this unit can carry out decapitation operations. And again, why are they there? What are they training for? We don't know as of yet. But I don't think at this point that the U.S. is just going to go in and invade North Korea. First of all, they don't have a reason. Now, again, that doesn't mean the cabal won't make a reason. Remember, we all think that the cabal doesn't have control of the government. They still have control of the intelligence agencies, the news organizations, and many parts of the armed forces. And they are pushing their agenda to get a war started. This is exactly what they want. Putin is out there. He has signed a decree on the implementation of UN Security Council's resolution stipulating sanctions against North Korea. The document came into force on October 14th, and the decree presumes additional restrictions in compliance with the resolution, including trade, economic, financial, scientific, technical cooperation with North Korea. Now, China and Russia, they're continuing to abide by the UN resolutions. They want to make sure that they're not going against this because they understand if something does happen, they want to say, no, we're not involved in this. We're going along with the UN. And we see right now that the talks and that they're having with North Korea, they are still going on. That has not stopped. They're trying to calm the situation down. The problem is that the United States will not cooperate in what China and Russia are proposing right now, which the proposal is both sides calm down. Now, the cabal doesn't like this. They don't like to calm down. We saw it in Ukraine when they tried to have peace talks with the southeastern people. The peace talks went like this: you lay down your weapons, you surrender, then we'll talk peace. The same thing is happening right now. They're telling North Korea, stop your missile program, stop your nuclear development, now we will talk. North Korea wants the drills to stop. At the same time, they stop their missile and nuclear programs. Now, once again, this is what they're trying to get around. This is what they are discussing. Now, what's very interesting, out in the UK's Labour Party Youth Wing, they passed a resolution calling for the UK to withdraw from NATO. Now, this is very interesting, because if this moves forward and they do get their way somehow, some way, this is going to be a major, major problem. Because remember, the UK is now trying to leave the EU. They don't want to be associated with NATO. And we can see that this might be the beginning of NATO's problems, where other countries are saying, you know something, maybe we shouldn't be part of NATO either. Now, we've looked at what happened with Catalonia, with other countries looking at this, seeing how the referendum has gone. And we've seen other countries looking at the Brexit, and we can see this whole global one world government. Well, each country is saying, well, we don't want this. They never wanted this. And the people are speaking up. The countries are speaking up, saying, we don't want any of this. Now, we know that the cabal, they're talking about Iran, and we know that Trump, he's not going to recertify the Iranian deal, which is meaningless at this point because it's not just the United States. There's many countries involved, and it doesn't mean that, the United States is out of it. This whole entire story, the whole notion that Iran is a national security threat and state sponsor of terrorism is just as bogus as the Russian meddling story or the claim that Russia, colluded in the elections and things like that. The same thing with Russia invading Ukraine. All of this is completely made up. It's made up by the cabal, the intelligence agencies, and Stockman is out there saying this whole thing is one gigantic lie. Now, we need to understand something and understand this is that Iran has actually never attacked a single foreign nation in modern history, whereas Washington has chosen to unilaterally intervene in or arm virtually every surrounding country in the region. And again, they're trying to create something where there is nothing. This is what they do. It's almost like a false flag event where they say, oh, the boogeyman is coming to get us, which it could be the Islamic State or these mass shooters or anything like that. It looks like Iraq right now, they have taken control of the Kirkuk region. This is the Kurdish area. And we can see that Syria is about to do the same thing. And this whole thing where the cabal was in these countries saying that, the Kurdish people have a right, we have to have this referendum. We need to understand how this all started. The United States, the cabal, went into these countries. They set up military bases. They armed and paid the Kurdish people. They wanted to split these countries up. And we see right now these countries, they are taking back control and they're not letting this happen. We see that the Syrian Arab Army, they have crossed the Euphrates area. They have pushed the Islamic State back. The Islamic State is retreating right now. And at this point, the paid mercenaries, their time has almost come where they're no longer going to exist, because right now they're only down to 8% of the land, and I'm going to say in the next couple of months they're going to be completely gone. There'll be actually there's no reason for the United States and the coalition forces to be there at this point, because right now the Syrian armed forces, Russia, they can handle this, and we already hear that Syria is asking Turkey to leave. Pretty soon they're going to say they want the United States to leave. They're going to go to the UN. The UN then is going to have to say at that point, listen, all the other countries around us are saying, yeah, you need to leave this country. They don't want you there. And once again, if they don't leave, it's an invasion. It's an act of war. We see Israel right now. They're still flying their jets into Syria. They are still trying to hold on to whatever they have. We know that Syria is moving into the Golan Heights. They're going to be taking that back. And once again, it looks like Israeli fighters, they taken out an air defense battery near Damascus, and they flew out of there. And at this point, it looks like this whole game is coming to an end right now. And there's nothing that Israel can do. There's nothing the United States can do, because pretty soon, all these paid mercenaries, everything that they've tried to do over the many, many years, it's just not working anymore. And the clock is ticking down. But that doesn't mean the cabal is finished, because what's very interesting is over the last couple of weeks, they've been telling us that North Korea, they're behind these cyber attacks. Iran now is getting involved in cyber attacks. Of course, this is all propaganda to make us think that these two countries, they're trying to push war across the globe by cyber attacking. And right now, there are experts in Congress, and they are talking to the House of Representatives. And this is Dr. William R. Graham and Dr. Peter Vincent Pry. They are saying that, listen, North Korea might have a doomsday weapon. And the doomsday weapon is a nuclear weapon that could knock out the power from an EMP blast and cut off communication devices. And basically, the United States would be in a lot of trouble right now. And what they're saying, and they're testifying in front of Congress, they told them that, fridges, lights, water, communication devices would become void if a hydrogen bomb detonated at an altitude of 30 to 40 or 30 to 400 kilometers above a target. It would knock out all of this. And it could end up killing 90% of Americans indirectly. Now, we know that they've been using this type of propaganda. First of all, North Korea doesn't have that weapon that they can launch and fire it over the United States. Can it be simulated? Can the cabal make it look like it's North Korea? Of course they can. But they're taking this a step further, because the Pentagon, and this is the Pentagon's research arm, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, well, they're working with dozens of high-speed traders, quant fund managers, people from exchanges, and other financial companies. Now, they're running through simulations, which makes me very, very nervous at this point. And we've talked about this before. And what they're saying is that hackers could cripple a widely used payroll system that could inject false information into stock data feeds, sending trading algorithms out of whack, or they could flood the stock market with fake sell orders and trigger a market crash. Now, once again, they are ramping this propaganda up to make it look like maybe North Korea, Russia, Iran, they have the ability to hit the markets and bring down the economy. They are also saying that the hackers could publish fake news to shake investor confidence. Now, let's think about this for a second. They're out there telling everyone that they're very nervous, they're very worried about hackers causing a stock market crash. They know that this market can't stay like this forever while the entire economy implodes around it. Now, we talked about this before on how eventually the day where a cyber attack is going to hit the financial institutions, the day it's going to hit the stock market, that day I think is very, very close. Remember, when we reported way back, we talked about how they were developing kill switches for the New York Stock Exchange, for the NASDAQ, for the BATS system. They did this on purpose. These drills that they have of a country cyber attacking the electrical grid, this is being done over and over so they know how these companies are going to react. Remember, they do this on purpose because they want to know that these companies, the employees, are going to react in a certain way. The same thing with the stock market. This is why they're working with all these people, because they want to make sure that they're going to react in a certain way. Because when they push a false flag, they need control of everything. Now, we've talked about how malware was already implanted into the system. It's sitting dormant. Remember the CIA Vault 7? They have all these different types of malware. And of course, Kaspersky was starting to pick it up. And they wanted all the corporations to drop Kaspersky because it started to pick up the CIA's malware, the NSA's malware. Well, here we are right now, and they're warning. So we're getting warnings from all over the place. We're getting warnings that North Korea has this doomsday weapon that can knock out the power, that North Korea could cyber attack the financial institutions or hit the power grid with a phishing email. Iran is cyber attacking the UK and accessing certain email of many MPs. And now they're telling us that we need to be worried about the stock market. Now remember, Janet Napolitano, who was head of DHS, when she was leaving, she said it's not if, but when there is a cyber attack. She's not saying, well, maybe there will be one. No, she's saying when. They already know. This has been planned for a very long time. They knew they were going to have to do this because they understood that the global economy would not be able to survive. The debt, well, it's growing out of proportion with GDP. It can't be sustained. People are unemployed. The real economy numbers, well, they're not what they're telling us. Retail, housing, not just here in the United States, but around the world, these bubbles, these gigantic bubbles, they're getting ready to pop. So here we are right now. They're ramping all this up. They're building up the propaganda because they know exactly what's going to happen. And they're broadcasting to everyone that you better be ready and prepared. Now, they put together some scenarios here. They're saying a hack of the U.S. exchange in which the attacker sends a wave of fake sell orders to every firm offering to buy shares. That could potentially erase hundreds of billions of dollars of market value as prices drop and firms try to cover losses by selling on other exchanges. So they're already telling us, and they always like to broadcast before it happens. This is why they have drills. This is why they leave clues from the last false flag. They like to tell us in advance what they're about to do. For some reason, it makes them feel better, something with the law of karma. And we see right now, this is what they are doing right now. They are broadcasting exactly what's going to happen. And if nobody does anything, well, it's not their problem. So if you haven't prepared, if you're not ready, I believe I would start now. That's my personal opinion. If you have been preparing, I would continue. I'd make sure you have water, food, supplies, because as the economy comes down, they're going to implement a bank holiday. They're going to use their bail-in documents. They're going to take your funds out of the bank. They're going to replace it with worthless stock because they're going to need your funds because they can't get bailouts anymore. We're going to see inflation. Yes, we might see power outages in certain areas just to bring this all home. We might even see physical type of attacks, maybe some type of dirty nuke or something like that in different cities just to bring this home. I mean, they've pulled off 9/11. This next event is going to be much, much larger because this one, the entire system's coming down and they need to cover this up completely. And they need to blame someone else. So you need to make sure that you have cash on hand because the first thing you're going to use as we see inflation is use these paper dollars that are going to lose value very, very quickly. Then most likely we'll go into bartering and then eventually maybe into cryptocurrency when the system comes back online, or gold and silver, whatever we need to use at that time. But I think bartering is going to go on for quite a while. I think we're going to have the use of cash for quite a while until it's absolutely worthless. Then we'll move into bartering where, if you have toilet paper, I'll trade it for cans of soup and things like that. And then we'll move into the reset of whatever the next phase is. So whatever you're doing, whatever you've done, continue or start doing it because it looks like we're getting very close to that point. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.